So the question of the hour, is DeFi legitimate or is it just another crypto scam? What's going on, guys? This is Ryan, aka Canteringclark, and on behalf of my partner Josh Rigger and I, we just want to thank you for stopping by the BlockRoots YouTube channel. Make sure that you not only hit the like button for this video, but hit the subscribe button to the channel as well. Each week we give away over $100 in Bitcoin to one lucky subscriber. So the purpose of BlockRoots is to provide you with a clinically objective and non-sensational view of the crypto markets, something that's pretty difficult to find on YouTube or Twitch. Now, myself and Josh Rigger are veteran crypto traders with over 20 years experience trading multiple markets. So as long as you're following BlockRoots, we think that you'll have the best take on the current updates and current market conditions. So in today's video, we're definitely not going to be talking about this. But what we are going to get into is this, something that at this point likely everybody is familiar with. And whether it's on Balancer, Uniswap, or 1inch exchange, we're going to be talking about the DeFi craze. So as long as you don't live under a rock, you're probably familiar with what's going on in the crypto market when it comes to DeFi. Now, before we get into anything, just remember that nothing that we say here is financial advice. You know, Josh and I have expressed interest in certain DeFi projects that we like, but I always preface it by saying that it's a punt. So at best, it is a shot in the wind. A lot of these are just short-term momentum plays. Now, this should remind everyone of another time within crypto. And we're specifically talking about the ICO boom. Now, there's a lot of stories and narratives with regards to how decentralized finance is a really important thing for crypto, how it's important for global markets, but a lot of this is just more along the lines of the same stuff we've heard before. Most of this just feels like another day at the casino. And we know that eventually, your time runs out, right? This is all going to eventually come to a really bad end.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
You want to do me a favor? You want to take your feet off the table and put your shoes back on?
So without getting into too many of the fundamentals, let's just take a look at the market from a technical standpoint. So if you go to CoinGecko and you go to DEX, which is for decentralized exchange, you'll see that in the top 5, so from Balancer up to Uniswap, you have almost $400 million in 24-hour volume. Now comparing that to spot exchanges, that puts you in roughly the top 10. So Uniswap, Balancer, Curve, Aave or Aave, however you pronounce it, and 1inch exchange. So in a very short amount of time, we have decentralized exchanges that went from pretty much complete obscurity to now becoming some of the most populated exchanges within crypto. Now, growth is a good thing, right? Well, it's good when it's organic and it's bad when it's not.
Well, you're walking around blind without a cane, pal. The fool and his money are lucky enough to get together in the first place.
So this does remind us of the ICO boom, and for all the wrong reasons, right? You could see that on this Cointelegraph article, yield farming fuels buzz around DeFi, but fundamentals are lagging. So again, this goes back to companies popping up, great narratives, white papers, ideas to change the world and revolutionize finance, but really, they're just a momentum trade. There's nothing really that has taken place underneath the surface, and again, it all gets back to the idea of crypto being seen as vaporware. Of course, things will come of it that are positive, but what happens is the same thing that we talk about when we talk about the Gartner hype cycle. Prices move reflexively, but the fundamentals lag behind. So people get very excited about an idea, that idea or that asset takes off, and then people soon realize that the product has not come out yet, the development is not there yet, and price eventually returns back to its fair value. Now, another reason why this reminds us of the ICO boom is because the amount of regulatory attention that it's attracting. Now, again, attention is a good thing, but it comes in different forms, right? We want the crypto market to gain more attention and to gain more mainstream adoption. The last thing that we want to do is for regulators to look at this market more poorly than they already do. And this type of activity that we're seeing, which is sort of indicative of a bubble within a bubble, is, in my opinion, the wrong type of message that we want to send outside of the crypto market, which is something that we seem to continuously send. To constantly send to outside people that this is, again, just a casino. And again, it has no value other than for pure speculation. So to the main question, is this all a scam? Well, no, it's just more of the same with regard to crypto. There are some scams involved. There's a lot of money to be made. At the end of the day, some of these are VC investments at best, and most of them are momentum trades.
It's all about bucks, kid. The rest is conversation.
So you can make a lot of money trading these. The problem is when you hold on, considering that it's just going to continue forever. A lot of these assets are very thinly traded. So if we look at Wi-Fi, which is trading and has traded above Bitcoin's value, we could see that it only takes about 4 to 5 Wi-Fi to move the price up and down 2%. So $77,000 moves the price to the upside 2%, $77,000 moves it to the downside 2%. So these are very thinly traded assets, which makes them highly reflexive. Now, not only that, a lot of these are really unique in terms of their supply. Some of them have a very low fixed supply. Some of them have a supply that's dynamic and is constantly lowering. So you're going to see that these behave like low float stocks, which means there's going to be a lot of short-term momentum, but the same way they can move to the upside, they can move to the downside as well. So the problem when trading these is not knowing what you're getting into before you get into it. Holding on forever. If you've already made 10 times your initial investment, don't get too greedy. We all know what happens to people who get too greedy in this market.
Last night I was reading Rudy the story of Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Pot. You know what happened? Stuck his nose in the pot once too often, and he got stuck.
So you might be asking yourself why the Wall Street clips. And aside from it being an absolute classic, the point is that Bud Fox had no idea what game he was involved in. So that's the most important point with regards to all of these DeFi projects. I've said on Twitter that I am bullish on MTA, on Wi-Fi, on SRM, on tokens of Babel, and anti-Ample. But I know, well and good, that at best there's a 1% chance that these will resolve favorably. They might have compelling stories to me, or, I believe in the project for X, Y, and Z reason, but I know what I'm involved in. I know that it's very risky. A lot of people that are getting involved right now don't know the risks that are involved. If they're new to the space, they weren't around during the ICO boom, when everyone was captivated by every single white paper and mainnet release, and news actually moved the market, which is what we're actually seeing as of late. Stories, Twitter posts, project announcements, they're all having a positive effect on price action. And again, this is all still so early. So for me, most of these are, at best, like I said, a shot in the dark. There are things that I find to be interesting, that I think could be beneficial in the bigger picture, but still at best, I'm buying into someone else's story, someone else's promise. And I know that it's really important that I define my risk beforehand. Before I get into any trade, I know that I'm willing to lose every single dime I put into that trade. And mind you, some of these are dimes with an exponent. I'm putting a lot of money behind some of these ideas. So if you're trading anything that is related to DeFi, just know the risks involved. Be willing to lose the entire amount. These are just momentum trades. And a lot of the projects that you're getting into, you're not the early bird. You're not the first one involved. There are a lot of people above you that are looking to unload on you. And it's really important that you understand that when you're trading, if you're not trading equities, which is the only thing that you can argue might be a positive sum game, all of this is a zero-sum game. It's you against someone else. You have to understand that.
It's not a question of enough, pal. It's a zero-sum game. Somebody wins, somebody loses. Money itself isn't lost or made. It's simply transferred from one perception to another. Like magic. This painting here, I bought it 10 years ago for $60,000. I could sell it today for $600. The illusion has become real. And the more real it becomes, the more desperate they want it.
So a few things before we wrap up. And we're going to give a pop quiz question and reward the first person to answer it correctly with $100 in Bitcoin. And this is actually something that is not relevant to trading whatsoever, except for the fact that there's a quote that I like that says, "Trading is a science, perfecting it is an art. Okay, so before we get to that question, as a reminder, be sure to check out our partners at Phemex.trade. There's a few new products that are going to be coming out in the next week, and I'm really excited to show them to you. And before we wrap it up, don't forget to check out our newsletter that we put out each week. For $9.95 a month, we give an extremely comprehensive breakdown of the entire crypto market. And then throughout the week, we also do individual asset updates. So go to blockroots.substack.com. It's an incredible product. Me and Josh put a lot of work into it. Now, on to that bonus question. So each week, what we normally do is reward someone in the comments with $100 in Bitcoin. What we'll do is we'll use a random comment picker, and it's essentially a lottery. With this one, we're going to reward the first person that can guess what my background picture is in this video behind the footprint chart with $100 in Bitcoin. So the first person to correctly answer, not necessarily a guess, an educated guess rather, the first person to correctly answer what my background picture is, what that background art is, will win $100 in Bitcoin. And that wraps it up, guys. As always, this is Ryan with BlockRoots. On behalf of my partner Josh Rager and I, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Exercise proper risk management and trade effectively.